Our big focus, the NDTV exclusive, the CAG report on the Commonwealth Games, and in what could be politically damaging, its observations on the Prime Minister's office and Kalmadi. As the BJP and Congress set the tone with combative press conferences in Parliament today, joining me on the show is Mr V.S. Narayanasamy, Minister of State in the Prime Minister's office. Also joining me, Arun Jaitley, Leader of Opposition in the Rajya Sabha. That's on the show tonight. But first, our NDTV exclusive, the CAG report on the Commonwealth Games is final. It will be tabled in Parliament soon, and NDTV Siddharth Pandey has the exclusive story. Siddharth, what seems to be the most damaging point of the report at this stage?
Well, the fact is that, of course, you got an exclusive peek into this report. It's a very comprehensive report, 725 pages in all, almost 200 pages of annexures. But clearly the report has come down heavily on the Prime Minister's office, which it blames for the decision to appoint Suresh Kalmadi as the chairman of the OC. The report is yet to be tabled in the Parliament, but the report says, in our view, the decision to appoint Suresh Kalmadi as the OC chairman, based on a PMO recommendation, facilitated the conversion of the originally envisaged government-owned body or organizing body into a body outside government control. The CAG also mentions how the original bid document, which had planned for a government nominee as the head of the OC, was changed sometime in December 2003. And this, the CAG says, in our opinion, the primary objective of the document titled as the updated bid was to orchestrate the appointment of the president of the IOA, Suresh Kalmadi, as the chairman of the OC Executive Board. Since, as per the May 2003 bid, the original bid, the president of IOA would only be the vice chairman. The decision to appoint Suresh Kalmadi as the OC chief did, however, not go unchallenged. The then Sports Minister Sunil Dutt actually wrote to the Prime Minister Dr. Singh and complained that the decision taken by the core group of ministers that the Sports Ministry or the minister would be head of the OC was not recorded. However, despite the objections of Mr. Dutt, the PMO endorsed Kalmadi as the head of the OC on the 6th of December 2004. The PMO, while clearing Kalmadi, cited the 1982 Asian Games as precedents. Sunil Dutt had also written to the Prime Minister highlighting how he actually came to know of Kalmadi's appointment through the newspapers. In fact, in 2007, Mani Shankar Iyer, who was then the Sports Minister, also sounded the alarm bells on Kalmadi. Writing to the additional secretary in the PMO, Shankar said that there was a need to overhaul the organizing committee and that without an overhaul, it would be impossible for the government to address the excesses of Kalmadi and his cohorts. Mani then also wrote to the Prime Minister the same month, stressing that the organizing committee needed to be recast and that Kalmadi should be replaced with a younger member of parliament as a minister in charge. The PMO says that the NDA government had signed an official agreement with the Commonwealth Games Federation in 2003, which had said that IOA president will be the chairman of the organizing committee. Since this was mandatory, the government formed a GOM to later look into the matter. The GOM recommended an oversight committee under the chairmanship of the sports minister. The PMO has no hand in this decision.
Right. So, Siddharth, thanks so much for that. And an important point there, the Prime Minister's office issuing a formal reaction to our story, saying that it was not their decision. This was something the NDA government had actually agreed to. But, however, we are quoting from a CAG document. That's an official document. The CAG, of course, a constitutional position. So, in the sense that this will be tabled in Parliament, is likely to provide fresh fodder for another political debate. Well, joining me for more on that tonight, I spoke earlier to Mr. V. Narayanasamy, Minister of State in the Prime Minister's office, and also to Arun Jaitley, Leader of Opposition in the Rajya Sabha. Mr. Narayanasamy, if I can go across to you first, your initial reaction, sir, to what the CAG report has said about the Prime Minister's office, the CAG report now final and is to be tabled in Parliament.
Simply because there is an observation by CAG, we will not be able to give any of our comments on that. CAG gives thousands of observations in thousands of matters for the last 50 years of our parliament. And you know, only some are taken, some are not taken. Ultimately, the decision of the parliament is important because the PAC has to go through it.
Right. But, sir, of course, the CAG is in constitutional position, is a constitutional position of authority. Why are you saying that CAG reports are being given too much importance? The opposition says that once you are mentioned in a CAG report, they are presuming that it is a sign of guilt.
Madam, if we go through the CAG report that has been submitted in even NDA regime, therefore, lot of observations will come from there. Because the CAG report, preliminary report and final report is not the sanctum sanctorium. That as soon as the report is submitted, then the report will be processed, the ministry's view will be heard, and thereafter it has to be placed before the parliament. Then after that it will go to the PSC. PSC is the authority where the members of parliament from various political parties will be there. You know, madam, pretty well that the leader of the major political party will be heading that committee, and therefore that is the final authority, and ultimately parliament is supreme.
Right, it's interesting you say the PSC is the final authority, because we saw what happened with the PSC in the 2G scam. But let me go across to Arun Jaitley, leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha. Arun Jaitley, you've just heard actually what we have in the CAG report, the quoting from the CAG report, where they say that Mr Kalmadi's appointment was because of a recommendation of the Prime Minister's office, and that led to the OC going out of government control. Your initial reaction, sir?
Well, I'm not the least surprised by what's been said. Because when large amounts of money belonging to the state exchequer is to be spent, the instrumentalities, that is the individuals and the organizations through whom it is going to be spent, their credentials are very strongly scrutinized. Now in a case like this, where it is not ipso facto that the heads of a sports body were to become the chairperson of the organizing committee, the government had a discretion whom to put. And therefore, despite the fact that some sports ministers have said that they were cautioning the government, I think what prevailed was the fact that he was in a sports body, he was a member of the ruling party, he was a member of parliament of the ruling party, and therefore why disturb him? The scrutiny of the credentials of the individual being appointed, who would then undertake this hundreds and hundreds of crores of expenditure, probably was not done. This is yet one more case where the Prime Minister's office acted a bit too casually.
NDTV's cricket app, Android and iPhone, fastest scorecard, special analysis, and much more. Download free. ndtv.com/apps.